All right, that's enough of that.
You want to be Steve Jobs?
Hmm?
You want to be Steve Jobs?
No. Why are you feeling that tweet? What do y'all... Turn that off. Where do y'all stand on that?
What?
You ain't see that what I tweeted off the Noahidols page?
No, nobody care about that.
Did you say would you rather? What was it exactly?
To be Steve Jobs.
Or not to be Steve Jobs? Who was that commented?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
I thought one of y'all.
Whose car is this?
No.
To be Steve Jobs or not to be Steve Jobs?
His mom's goofy.
You know, I could make the argument that we are Steve Jobs.
No. Fuck no.
That's my mom's.
Well, she can't get a new car?
No way.
Hating ass bitch.
Man. But
the reason
where'd you get
asking,
that? Was you watching that documentary?
I was watching, well, I've done seen a few on him, but I was watching a documentary on him. And it was just basically explaining about how obviously Steve Jobs is one of the most influential, the best entrepreneurs of all time, but they was also saying how he never really developed a relationship to nobody. Like everybody knows the fact that he was
How the fuck is everybody in LA?
who?
What is he?
Dorian. Everybody
He came back. What was I just talking about?
Steve Jobs.
Oh yeah. Everybody knows the rap on Steve Jobs about how he treated his employees like shit and all that. So they're basically saying he didn't have a connection to his daughter. He never was married. He had the girl got pregnant. He weren't even cool with her for real. Like no friends, like nothing like that.
You know what's crazy is I used to like probably.
So the question was, would you rather be super successful with no friends, or
no,
or basically, live a genuine life and not obviously be successful?
I started to pursue happiness a little bit more. I mean, I think I've said that already in here. But I used to think that was like it. Like, yeah, but he set up a legacy for his family for forever. Like, that's the way that
Right.
But until you just start, you read more, you just become
even
more
like he wasn't. What's the word?
stuff.
What's the business word with like donate?
Charity?
No, it's a philanthropic. Philanthropic. When he was over with
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy. Yeah. When he was.
But
I'm not doing this shit again.
But the term you said it right.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 22 of the Noahidols podcast.
Facts.
This is your host, Joe.
No. Oh yeah, I am Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, you are Joe. Remember
Am I
what's
able
your
to
name?
sit back now?
No.
Remember you were your host, Joe? What'd you say? Big Dick Joe?
Big Dick Joe. But no, I can't take that because that's Joe Burrows. And I look like a jocker.
That's facts.
That's what they don't call him that.
No, when he won the national championship, he had the hat. Right when he won it, you know that legendary picture where he's like sitting with a cigar? If you pay attention, he had someone gave him a hat, and that same night at the club, he had a purple hat that said Big Dick Joe. That's swag shit.
So again, this is episode 22 of the Noahidols podcast. This is your host, Joe.
Back.
No, what's your name?
Troublesome.
No,
I'm
what's
not
your name?
troublesome. The co-host Troublesome, and I am Agent 007 apparently.
Facts.
Don't call yourself Agent, because that's Brian's name.
You want to be Brian?
Wait, what?
Agent 007.
How did he get that name?
He gave
Is that
himself that name.
self-proclaimed?
He gave himself.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Especially not with a name like that.
Yeah.
It has to mean
But
something.
people call him Agent 00.
But anyway, we're back. This is episode 22.
What was he just?
And
We're
I
talking
have a
about Steve
headache.
Jobs.
Oh yeah.
But what I was saying is I used
I don't care
to
about
think that was like it. Like I used to think that people didn't conform to that. And I'm like, well, that's the reason why y'all aren't Steve Jobs. Like that was the, you know what I'm saying? But it's just dope when you become like aware of stuff, and when you like. Over the last probably year and a half, I've literally seen my brain and the way I think change, on various different things.
That is some funny ass shit. But yeah, I think everybody knows I'm genuine, so I wouldn't being at the top like that with no friends is what the fucking point.
It's just I could.
But what'd be the point? That's not
Success.
fun. But that's not fun if you don't got no one to share it with.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's really happy, then
You ain't gonna be successful with your sideful ass. You're gonna be at the bottom,
Okay.
and I'll leave you there
And stomp on me.
and stomp on you. And you know what I'll do?
No, that's just the difference between.
I'll
That's just the difference between you and I.
What's that?
I would never leave.
No, you won't.
I would never leave
He
you.
swears he's the most upstanding young gentleman this earth has ever faced.
he's pretty upstanding,
Thank you, Shay.
but not the most.
Don't worry.
You don't know what I know. That's what it is.
Then hit me.
I'm so tired of
You know,
Yeah, I'm
this is a
so
big
no, I'm
fan.
so tired of him
I ain't
trying.
like that.
This is
I'm so
I
tired
would
of
never do that.
I'm so tired of him trying to like.
Because Steven's still a brethren, so I would never do that.
I'm trying. He's always trying to hint. Like what?
What am I trying
To
to say?
Shane and other people, you don't know what I know. What do you know?
One day he's gonna pull your curtain back.
Yeah,
No,
what do you-
Shane's
He's gonna pull
starting
your
to know.
skirt up.
Shane's starting to know. Shane's done got a lot more hip. Would you say so?
Yeah,
You're a little bit more hip.
I'm aware.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm aware. But he is an upstanding young man.
Yeah, Stephen's a good guy. No doubt about it.
But did you hear the slight in the
I was happy that he said it.
How? I said no doubt about it.
Somebody needs
You're
to
the
give me
type.
some-
You're the type of person to talk about like when the friends ain't around. That's what Stephen does. Like if we're not around, you better watch how he talks on your name.
Oh, stop.
You'll put smoke
Never.
on
You
it.
better watch how he talks on your name.
You'll put smoke on
If
it.
Shane Satterfield gets brought up in a room, Stephen don't know you.
I let anything go. Let anything slide.
That's the funny
Who's
shit.
trying to go get me some toilet paper?
Don't start this.
Am I getting no fucking toilet?
This is the thing that I realized with Stephen, and I believe what I'm starting to think it is it's a nervous twitch when the cameras come on. He acts different.
No, it ain't. I
He
don't give a
does.
fuck about that.
No, because you were just fine up cleaning the house. And
yeah,
this
when I
man had
was-
on a whole apron, y'all. He had on an apron
Cooking dinner.
for me. I was like, I sat down, I'm like, wow, this man made me 2 burgers and sweeping the couch.
Yeah, that's when I was listening to Childish Gambino.
No, that was before. We were listening to Biggie.
And I was listening to rap.
No, we were listening to Biggie. The minute the cameras came on, he turns into this narcissistic asshole.
That's because I have to hear y'all sit over here mumble and
Narcissistic.
jumbo about Steve fucking Jobs.
Do you want to do the podcast or not?
I don't want to talk about Steve Jobs. So fuck Steve Jobs, okay? Can we talk about interesting things? I don't give a fuck about Steve Jobs. He's dead.
Nah, I didn't know he died in 2011. All jokes aside, real quick.
I knew it was pretty recent. I didn't know.
That's not recent.
I didn't know that.
That's what I said. When I said 2011, I thought he just died like 3 years ago.
Recent to me, Steve. I mean, I guess it's how you think of it.
I just
Within the
remember,
last decade, to me, is recent.
I just remember being on Twitter and
For
everything,
Steve
but I
Jobs.
guess we was on Twitter in 2011.
Who's more goated, Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos? Go.
Steve Jobs.
No one knows Jeff Bezos.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to talk about that, but yeah, I think Steve Jobs just because he pioneered the whole jump.
No
Jeff
one-
Bezos is
Bezos
kind
didn't?
of Jeff Bezos is kind of
The
pioneering
Renaissance
some shit.
man.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is monopolizing everything.
Okay, so we know you
Yeah.
like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, you do like Jeff Bezos.
I like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, we
But I
know
like
you
Steve
do.
Jobs.
Yeah, but not really.
No, I do.
Well, let's get in our politics segment.
Or what?
Politics segment.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna have my guy call in.
What? Real quick, what did you say he was? He ran a campaign.
He was a campaign manager for, I can't remember her name. I want to say Kim something. I'll let him clarify. But anyway, the Ohio primaries are coming up. Do you know the actual date? I think it's March 17th. I might be wrong on that. Anyways, Ohio primaries coming up. We've talked a lot of BS about politics, but I figured we could get a credible source on here just to maybe inform people of if you want to vote, if you don't want to vote, whatever. But to inform people, give them a credible source of somewhere to go.
Our first virtual guest.
Our first virtual guest. So I'm about to call in, but I don't know. What are your, I mean, we kind of have, I don't know if we've ever really given like a, we have certain, I think our stance on politics is out there.
I was about to ask you
what do y'all believe, what do y'all think about the Ohio primaries while I'm getting ready to get him to.
You mean between Biden and
No.
Just the.
Are you talking about just like this, basically the state voting?
I know we kind of hit on it before a little bit, but.
Man, the whole thing is crazy because I don't understand how they go off a state instead of electoral. It don't make sense. I mean, I understand, but it just doesn't make sense to me how some states are worth more than others when you can literally just go off the elected sum out of every single person. But I mean, Ohio's a pretty big state, ain't it? Like it's a crucial.
Yeah,
I think it's a
swing.
crucial
It's a
state.
swing
Yeah,
state.
it's a swing state. That's what they call it.
And swing state means.
It means it's up in the air because usually
It means it'll change the.
the past.
If you win that state, you're more apt to win. There's swing states, and then there's the regular states that really don't mean
Right.
nothing. But Ohio's a swing state, so there's like a certain amount of swing states that you try to win because that changes. Like Hunter was saying, they don't do it off of just a certain numbers. If you win more swing states, and like if you won the swing states, but
Right, you can win states, and then you could win states that's gonna beat you in popular votes by a lot. Same thing.
I believe that's what happened with Hillary.
that it is. Hillary won.
Yeah.
Hillary won most votes, and then Donald had the states.
That's
locked
low
up.
key kind of whack. It's
I just don't get. Do you know why? Or
well, yeah, it's because it was a college that started, college people that started the electoral thing, but it's because some sides of our country is liberal, conservative, and stuff like that, and some countries are bigger. So
I know some states are worth more than some states,
and they are because if, say for instance, like California is very is a very like liberal state. That means it's very
Free.
and it's like let's smoke weed. It's all like that. So if they just did votes in that state has like so many millions in it that it wouldn't be fair
to Indiana.
Right.
To Indiana's. Like it'll make Indiana's vote
Just because there's more people.
There's way more people in California.
That makes sense.
So if
I mean it does make sense, but like I said, wouldn't it make more sense if the real democracy would just be every person who's voting, whoever votes the most? Like if there's more that live in LA, then there's more that live in or California.
Yeah, but then you'll run into those states that don't have so many people and stuff in it you run the risk of not or having less voters because
they just won't vote.
They're just like we're not gonna win. There's just no way. I don't agree with that. They're trying to change it.
So the electoral states, when do the fights happen? That's what I want to see. I want to see Bernie get crushed by Donald. I don't want to see that, but that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
The presidential debates start next September.
September?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Or like around that in the fall of next year.
Oh, because
hold up. Can you hear me?
I really need to blow my nose bad. Too many options.
You can't hear?
Hold on 1 second, Jordan. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Put a thumb up if you can hear me. All right.
Yeah, he can hear us.
I got to change something really quick.
Am I able to go blow my nose?
Yep, hurry up. Ding, 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 ding. But you like the song?
Yep, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to get your speaker to come through here. There it is. There we go. What's up, man?
What up? What up, Noahidols?
Okay.
What's going
Jordan,
on?
this is my man Hunter. Hunter, this is Jordan.
Hunter, nice to meet you, dude.
You too, bro. And Steph is
upstairs being pathetic, blowing his nose in the middle. He always does the wildest stuff while we're trying to record this.
I keep thinking that we're recording on the phone. I gotta get off that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I just told them a little bit, man, about you. You shut up. Seriously, and get down. But give the people a little bit of who you are. You know what I mean? And
yeah. All right. So my name is Jordan Fisher. I am 27 years old. I was born, raised, and adopted in Florida for about the first 10 years of my life. And then after that, we moved to Ohio, where I spent the next 10 years of my life. So by the time I was 20, I went into the Marine Corps and served 4 years. And I was in South Carolina, North Carolina, California. I went to Japan for for a tour for 6 months. Came back, got out, came right back home to Dayton, Ohio, where I'm now at school at Sinclair and working at the bank with Shane.
What are you going to school for?
What's up?
What are you going to school for?
I'm going to school for political science as of right now. It's up and down. I don't know if that's exactly what I want to do. I've got about a year left to really decide because I'm knocking out the gen eds. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a bachelor's in political science.
All right. So how did you get into, doing campaigns and stuff?
Okay, so that is the reason I got out.
Of the military?
Of the military, because they hold your tongue. What is it called? I think it's called the Hatch Act. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's the federal law that forbids anybody in the federal government of openly supporting or openly in opposition to partisan politics. And of course, that's the military. So President Trump came into office in 2017, and that was about the last full year of my tour in the Marines. So that's when I took to Twitter and started just amping it out, going ham day after day after he was sworn in, because every day it's been, I would say, a shit show with the presidents, with what's going on. And so part of my duty as a Marine out of the military was to stay informed. That was my sense of duty, personal sense of duty, is just to stay informed. I was not only willing to give my life, or because I was willing to give my life for the Constitution, what I couldn't stand seeing more than anything was a president who had no regard for it whatsoever, and the importance of it to us and to the rest of the country. While a lot of us don't even think too much about it, but if you do just for a second, it's the one thing that's held this country together for 240 odd some years.
I was kind of just thinking how we all like we play around about Trump and stuff, but I never really think about the people who are like really in the Marines or really in there. Like they're thinking like, you ass clown.
Right. Like my life is on the line every day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So to get my tongue back, I got out. I figured if I get out, I can always go back in if civilian life didn't work. Turns out it did, because I'm out 2 years later, still at the bank, still in school. But I immediately followed up. It was in 2018 by the time I got out. So that was the midterm election year. Huge deal. Mm-hmm. And I went down to the Democratic Party and basically said, sign me up. Was willing to go anywhere to any candidate and just get involved. And Kim McCarthy, who actually ran for District 73 for the Ohio State House and is running again for 2020 for the same district, she was kind enough to invite me to be her campaign manager. And I told her, hey, listen, I've never done this before. I'm fresh out of the military. You sure you know what you're doing? She's like, that's fine. Let's go. So it was cool. And I got to see the behind the scenes work that goes into a campaign. And it's exhaustive. It's crazy. I couldn't even begin to describe it here. You just kind of sort of have to live it to really know it.
Man, I bet.
But yeah, it was a great experience. It's definitely opened my eyes up.
You think you'll do it again, or are you done?
I don't know. I don't want to say no indefinitely, just because there's so much future ahead.
Right.
But I am definitely open to the idea of being a behind the scenes guy. For the longest time, I thought I'd be out in the forefront as a politician, as a candidate. Mm-hmm. But I haven't tried that part of it yet. So I guess the only way to really know is to try. It's a matter of when, and it's a matter of where. So I don't know, maybe here in the near future, I might actually get my feet wet somewhere.
And I'll put, I don't know if I've ever asked you, how did you grow your Twitter following? And we can put your Twitter up here in a second, but I mean, how many followers do you have?
Well, I think the account is somewhere in the high 20,000s.
Yeah, that's dope.
So straight from there, man, obviously, I mean, we've talked a lot about politics and stuff like that at work. Mm-hmm. You are probably my main source of somewhere to go and get credible information. You know what I mean? From where there, you send me to other places where I can go and do my own thing. That's the thing I always appreciated about you, is that, you know, you don't ever, you give me your opinion, but it's open for me to kind of make my own interpretations and stuff like that. So with the Ohio primary coming up, which is when? Is it the 17th?
So the 17th, that's next Tuesday.
What's the political landscape look like right now? Like maybe, you know, I mean, you can get into whatever it is that we always talked about. You there?
Yeah, I'm good.
I got you. I mean, I know we talk a lot about Trump, where we're at as far as in America today, just different stuff like that. But maybe bring everybody up to speed since the trial.
Since the trial, holy crap. So what was that? I think that was early February. The Republican Senate decided to acquit the president, which technically, depending on who you ask, did, but it wasn't really considered an acquittal because you never have a trial without witnesses, whether it's for or against. You always have witnesses. I just like to point out the idea that the Republicans spout that the president was innocent, but there was a witness that was willing to speak about that. If he was innocent, why wouldn't you have that witness on to tell that story? I'll tell you why, because he's not innocent. I think we all know what was really going on there. But since then, since he was acquitted, the president's gone on a spree, a revenge kick, which he proudly boasted about on the White House lawn, saying that he was going to go after the people that went after him. So he tried to go after Adam Schiff, who is the House Intel Committee chairman, who basically led the House's investigation into the Ukraine scandal. He fired Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman. He fired Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman's brother for no reason whatsoever. I think other than the fact that he was related and shared the same name. He replaced the acting national security. No, excuse me. There's so many terms, and not the national security advisor. I don't remember his title, but I remember that he was, it's coming up to a blank. But by law, he was required to give the report to Congress recently that Russia was gearing up to meddle in the 2020 election. In fact, they are not only how are they going to be doing it, but they have been doing it since. And ever since we've known that information from late 2016 by our intelligence communities, Donald Trump has done everything in his power to dispel that. He does not, in his mind, either just doesn't want the country to know the truth, or does not believe that Russia is actually behind it, despite every single agency in our government that has confirmed such. But he fired the head of the intel community, who gave a report that specifically stated Russia was behind Trump and backing Trump for the 2020 elections. Obviously, because with Trump and Putin, there's a pretty kumbaya relationship there.
Right. Doesn't that book drop the same day as the Ohio primary?
Say that one more time.
Doesn't that book drop the same day as the Ohio primary?
Yeah. So John Bolton, who was the national security advisor to Trump, and he's the one who has all the goods. The book is titled "The Room Where It Happened." Again, that's by John Bolton, which is going to apparently describe all the behind-the-scenes events that surround the Ukraine scandal. So that'll be pretty interesting to actually get my hands on that and look and see what's actually written in there. Right. He's hinted that there's a lot of telltales, a lot of goodies, things that he was going to testify about but didn't want to because he didn't want that leak per se to damage the credibility or the integrity of his book, which is part of the reason why he didn't speak at all. So I kind of support him on that, whatever. But yeah, that book drops March 17th. So I advise anybody, if you're not going to read it, at least pay attention to what the people who do read it say about it.
So what do you think the chances of him getting reelected are?
Oh man, I don't know. So honestly, I have no clue. We can trust polls, but the last time we trusted polls so passionately, Hillary lost. There are so many people who said that Hillary was not going to win. Yeah. Or excuse me, I apologize. Mm-hmm. Hillary was so going to win that Trump was not going to win. There was just no way. The Republican Party didn't even like him. I think Lindsey Graham went on record saying, if we nominate him, if we elect him, it will be the end of the Republican Party as we know it, and we will deserve it. Funny how Lindsey Graham is not saying that today. But polls can catch us by surprise, and also I don't like the idea of placing our faith in the polls to make accurate decisions. I mean, it gives us sort of some insight as to where the election will go or which candidate will do better than the other. But personally, I have absolutely no idea. I think after 2016, I look at national politics now with an open mind, because I was totally blown away by the results that night.
You just said that. So after, as you say that, he just brought up a good point. Now, how is the Democratic Party shaping up? Because I mean, over the last 2 weeks or so, we've seen everybody drop out.
Everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you had told me a theory about at work. That's something that you believe in. So.
Yeah. So, I think the official count was about 26 candidates had announced, somewhere around there. 26 or so candidates announced their intent to run for the Democratic nomination for president. So reminder, there's a Republican Party and there's a Democrat Party. There's many other parties, but unfortunately our country only cares about 2 of them. Mm-hmm. So because nobody's running against Trump, Trump automatically is going to be the Republican nominee for 2020 for re-election. No one's going to challenge him. No one's going to beat him. That part of the Republican primary is already settled. The Democrats, however, there were just so many people running: Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Julian Castro. You name it, they're running. But what had happened recently, just before the Super Tuesday big win for Joe Biden, was I think a lot of the candidates came to terms with the political reality that they were not going to secure the nomination by securing enough delegates. And Bernie at that point was in the lead. And so in order to, I guess, choose the most electable candidate or the most well-equipped candidate to beat Trump, politics comes into play and we have to strategize. So Amy Klobuchar dropped out, Andrew Yang dropped out, Pete Buttigieg dropped out, and eventually even Elizabeth Warren dropped out. Now, she didn't give any indication as to who she would be backing, but the fact that even she dropped out after 3 weeks ago, saying she's in this fight to the very end, is significant. So now all that's left officially is Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, which Joe Biden, from Super Tuesday, last Tuesday, where a cluster of states all held their primaries and caucuses at the same time, the results came in and overwhelmingly was in support for Joe Biden, which boosted his numbers since there was relatively no competition because everyone had dropped out. So now, as we speak, Biden is currently in a slim lead and is projected to have or garner enough support to secure the nomination to officially become the 2020 Democratic nominee.
I think Biden might stand our best chance.
That's what he was saying too.
Yeah.
He's like, Bernie can't get Bernie can get the young vote, but nothing else.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll make a comment on that. Let's be real here. Two older white guys who've been in politics, been part of the Washington group for 40 some years, depending on who it is. A lot of millennials and certainly a lot of Gen Z. We're generations, we're people that we don't like to cut corners. We like the truth. We want to tell it how it is. I was telling Shane the other day, like with our generations, nothing is left on the table. Everything is on there, but we talk about it, we address it, nothing's taboo. The same can be said as for politics. So the point that you just made about Bernie securing like the young vote, what I like about Bernie is you essentially know where he stands. He has nothing to hide. He's officially an independent, but he's running for the Democratic ticket because, again, we're a two-party system. There's no way an independent could win. It would be nice, but it's just not going to happen. It hasn't happened since Washington, and really, that's a whole nother story and argument for another time. But with what Bernie has done is he has brought the arguments for our generation to the table. We're talking about student loans. We're talking about Medicare for all. We're talking about basic health care, addressing the needs that actually hit home with our gen. And if you look at Joe Biden's not really addressing that. In fact, he's more so of a centrist in comparison to where Bernie stands. So, I mean, yeah, the young vote is crucial. It's critical.
But Biden has more of a chance to get the Trump audience.
Yes, again, because he's a central figure. He's more of a centrist than anything. I don't have his record in front of me, so I don't feel comfortable, spitballing what he has and hasn't done over the years.
And
a lot of the things. What's that?
You have a lot of Brock's following too.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Black community.
Oh, the black.
Not over Bernie.
Yeah, not over Bernie.
No, but I think.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the number on the specific demographics other than obviously the young vote is solidly behind Bernie Sanders. But this is unfortunately politics, and we have to strategize. The end goal is to defeat Donald Trump. So it makes sense that the Democratic Party would rally behind Joe Biden. If he is the most electable guy, then fine. Why not? Let's go in there, make Trump a one-term president. and try to establish some order back into this country.
This is where you can really, this is really where you can get your opinion out there. How do you feel about that?
Like what?
Wait, what did he even just say?
So
of everybody bowing out of the race because now politics are being in play. What's up, man?
That's Stefan?
Yes, sir.
What's up, dude?
Nice to meet you. So with, like you said, at this point within the race, I know politics come into play. So a lot of people drop out to get behind another candidate so they can elect, the most electable person. How do you particularly, because it's looking like Joe Biden is, you said he slightly took the lead, and it's kind of looking like he's the one that everyone's going to push forward to face Donald Trump. How do you personally feel about that?
So personally, Biden doesn't toot my horn, and neither does Bernie. But what we all should take into account here is we will never have our perfect candidate. We will never ever have a perfect candidate. They're going to say some things. They're going to have some agendas from the past that are going to make us nod and question whether or not we should support them. I have nothing against Joe Biden to personally not vote for him in 2020. I'm obviously going to be voting for whoever the nominee is, because that is how our system is jury-rigged, unfortunately, especially with the Electoral College. Again, I don't know. It's a hard question. It's actually an easy one. It's just hard because we have become so used to the way we choose a president and the way we choose our candidates. It's so systemic, and it's so narrow. It doesn't really leave room for us to aspire who we'd want to, who we feel good about. Right. And even the feel-good candidates like Andrew Yang. Right. I wouldn't say that I was a personal supporter of him, but what I loved about him was that he talked about all the issues that were still affecting home, but without the political fray or the establishment or the timeless arguments that we constantly hear. In fact, he made a point to say that when he was in the debates, he wasn't going to talk about Trump. You don't defeat Trump by talking about Trump. We all know the headache that Trump is and gives us. You talk about issues that hit home, and that's what he had done. So genuine, authentic candidates like that, I think I'd feel much more better going to the ballot box for. But I mean, personally, I have to fall in line with where how we elect the president, how politics plays in to effect, and I will not be voting for Trump. So obviously, I'll be voting for the other.
Right. So like like in boxing and stuff, they say like styles make fights. So how do you think Biden fares? Like, what areas can Biden focus on when he's facing Trump? Like, why are we choosing him? Like, what do we see in Biden that can defeat Trump?
Because hold on, real quick, didn't they just do like their arguments where they was talking, and didn't Biden fold?
Yeah, he just won. He just had a major win.
Well, this is a couple months back.
Yeah, but that was
Democratic debate.
Yeah, when they first started, he was stumbling all over words. He's been stumbling all over words this whole.
He has. I don't really know. I haven't. I have to admit, I haven't been paying a lot of attention, or the most of my attention, to the Democratic primary because there were so many candidates. What I was going to do was, after we got down to about 3 or 4. Really start to focus on the platforms, because again, there was 20 odd some candidates. I cannot follow that many people as much as I need to be able to make a confident decision as to how to win or how to style winning this election. But now that we basically have 2 runners, Biden or Bernie, I mean, really, it can go either way depending on what happens in Michigan, what happens next Tuesday with Ohio and all other states that follow on. It really just depends. I don't know really what style Joe can deliver that's going to be like rock solid, knock 'em dead, let's do this. He is, he's had some issues with the Black community in the past with his votes towards busing. He's had his, he's got some issues with relativeness when it comes to the younger community, seeming a little bit more out of touch.
The funny thing with that is that, you know, when Barack was in office, just before Barack left office, it seemed like the younger community and the black community kind of got behind Joe Biden.
They did.
Because like there's a lot of memes going on Twitter back then, you know, when they were leaving office, him and Barack, and dapping each other up. And so like it seemed like, you know, at least on Twitter and on social media, it seemed like a lot of people were getting behind Joe Biden. But now it kind of seems like a different landscape with him again. It seems like,
well, didn't he just say another like racist remark?
Yeah, that was at the beginning of. I mean,
no, I thought he just said another one like last week.
They started sharing that again, but that happened when where he said, you know, white kids aren't poor
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact
white
quote.
kids aren't as dumb as poor people.
Or
Exactly. Yeah. You don't say that. At least you don't say that in this day and age.
Right. And we got what he was trying to say, but I think he's been stumbling over his words.
Right. So yeah, I don't know how you can style that. I mean, that's almost sort of giving Trump a free blow.
Oh my God.
Because now Trump can go after him for something that could have been totally averted.
That's Trump's best game.
Yeah.
That's what.
But I mean, that means it just opened. It makes Biden himself vulnerable because he's giving Trump these free wins, things to prepare for. So that come time that they have debates, I don't know. Trump has said that he doesn't want to debate. He feels he doesn't need to, but we'll see what happens.
And then they're swinging.
But really, I don't know. I mean,
but
we're just gonna have to wait and see. I know that sounds pretty lame, but a lot of people didn't see Barack Obama coming. Mm-hmm. In fact, he was not at all the front runner until he became so, until he started winning, until people started actually listening to the guy and paying attention to him until he became the 2008 nominee.
Right.
And that is when we started to realize that we can't hope for a focus. We just have to rely on that candidate to deliver something that will charge up the base or the country enough to get out and vote, something that somebody or people can feel that their votes mean something. I can't tell you how many times I've run into people in the military, at school, at the bank, who believe their vote doesn't count and choose not to vote. That alone is the biggest threat to democracy, or is people believing their vote does not count. It does. It depends on the context of what you're talking about, but think about it this way. If you don't get out there and vote, no matter who you support, Trump, Clinton, Obama, doesn't matter. If you don't get out and vote, you're basically sitting on the bench and allowing someone who you don't agree with, maybe you do, but maybe they don't. And you're allowing that person to cut in the line in front of you and speak for you. Your vote matters. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter who so much the candidate is. What matters is that What matters is that you're politically engaged, that you're at least following, that you're at least doing the necessary homework to discover the truth, read about it, brush up, and know what you're talking about, know what the candidates are talking about, so that you can feel comfortable and good about going in and voting. Feeling that your vote doesn't matter is one thing. That's more so of a personal thing. But technically, of course, your vote matters. Right. It's the silliest thing I've ever freaking heard.
Okay, so my personal last two questions to you would be, one, like, what do you think Trump has gotten right? Because earlier you said, it's been a shit show, which I think we can all agree on. But, just for our viewers out there and, just for objectivity, what do you think he has gotten right in office?
Oh, my God.
Gotta reach deep in the bag. Let me reach deep in the bag.
What I'll do is I'll play this one safe. There are things that the president has done, has said, that I can personally get behind on. How he implements it is another thing.
Right.
But I think when he raises the issue of, he says it's open borders. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But I guess what I'm getting at is the immigration reform is desperately needed. Now, his definition of immigration reform, I do not agree with altogether. But obviously we want to have secure borders. That's obvious. So I agree with him, at least addressing that and bringing that to the national forefront. It's very difficult. I had to do a lot more research into it, but I do support his move to assassinate the Iranian generals, Soleimani. I can't remember his first name for the life of me. At first I didn't. At first I thought it was reckless, but then I told myself I wasn't in the situation room. I didn't have the briefing or the intel that the president had. So who am I to really tell that that was the best or worst decision? But after I did more digging, and I'm actually doing a report on it for my international relations class at Sinclair that involves the Cold War in the Middle East right now, that was a grade A move. That needed to be done.
So do you trust his hand in pressing the button, like as far as war and stuff? Like, because I know you also said, you were in the Army and,
Marines. Man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Marines.
have more swag.
Marines, you're right.
Semper Fi.
And I know you probably, conversate amongst, the other Marines. Like, are you guys behind him as far as pressing that button?
So pretty much almost all of the military community tends to support a Republican president, commander-in-chief, not all the time. But when I was there were either people who did not know much to be able to comment or voice their opinion, or there are people that were just blatantly for Trump because he had talked a big game about being the tough guy that America is, big guns, don't fuck with us. And so that makes people whose job it is to essentially kill people, because that was what our job was. They never lamented or sat shy in telling us that was our one sole job, was to kill somebody if the day ever came. And so it looks like for a moment there, this actually happened when I was in Japan, that he was playing chicken. If y'all remember, he was playing chicken with Kim Jong-un.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, I got a bigger gun, I've got a button too.
Yeah, and they were calling
North Korea had fired a missile, and it was over Japan. It landed, I believe, what is that? South China Sea. I don't remember what sea it is. It's basically the water mark between China and Japan, and that's where the missile landed. But basically, had that missile reached or hit any point of Japan's jurisdiction or mainland, we'd have been at war. I was literally there. We were waiting because we had no idea what was going to happen. They gave us a briefing about it, and they said this is what could be, and that we have to stand by. But no. Fortunately, what happened, and the missile did hit the sea. But it's just a matter of, as if it hit anything else, or civilians. I mean, we are, I wouldn't say required, but obligated by alliance, by treaty, whatever you want to call it, to support and defend Japan, because that is what right now is what is in America's interest, because Japan is a very necessary ally.
Right. Okay, and lastly, for this millennial generation and stuff like that, explain to us, because I think we're in a generation right now where a lot of younger people coming up aren't being taught how to vote properly or why it's important to vote, like you just spoke about. Can you explain to our viewers and stuff the importance or like how the electoral vote works, and then like the importance of the swing states?
Okay. Yes. The Electoral College. So let's get one thing straight. You can vote for mayor, you can vote for dog catcher, you can vote for comptroller, you can vote for commissioner, you can vote for congressman, senator, governor, doesn't matter, sheriff even. Every one of those votes is by popular vote. So first past the post, which basically means majority rule. So out of 100, like a voting pool of 100 people, 51 votes is going to win it all, winner take all.
Right.
Okay. The presidency is the only political office in the nation where we do not do that. All right. The Electoral College is what essentially elects the president. What we do, what voters do, is we go to the booth and we are essentially telling the electors of our state how we would like to see the presidential results go to, or which candidate we would want to be president.
Right.
So in this case, since we're in Ohio has 16 electoral votes.
Mhm.
Every state gets 2, minimum 3, but it really every state gets 2 per senator, and then at minimum 3 total electoral votes, because depending on the states by population, a state like Montana, a state like Hawaii that might have 1 or 2 representatives for the entire state in Congress. Then you have California, which I think right now has 55 electoral votes, because obviously there are a lot more people who live there. Therefore, there are a lot more districts that need to be represented.
Right.
All you need to know is that the majority rule of the state dictates how many electoral votes that candidate that was voted in favor will get. In theory, okay, because technically the Electoral College does not have to take our votes into account. And I think this is where a lot of people get on that horse where they say,
Doesn't really
my
matter.
vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count. Believe me, it counts. But I believe in 5 instances, no, don't quote me on 5 instances, but in the past, especially in 2016, there have been electors, they're called faithless electors, who vote against the will of the people, and they are totally within their right to do it. Now, the states might impose a fine, they might impose light punishments for voting against the will of the people, but there is nothing compelling other than state law for some states who write it into their state law. There's nothing compelling an elector to vote exactly how their state wants them to vote for.
Right.
So I know that can be kind of confusing and absolutely outdated. Just a historical note, the Electoral College was created because back in a time where it was a brand new country and a lot of people were spread out all across the land, and there was no fast or quick or convenient way of getting information to every single household in the country at that time. The founders figured, okay, rather than leave the decision of the presidency to a lot of our citizens who might not know what's going on, let's invest in a collegiate group that would know all the day-to-day have firsthand knowledge of what was going on to make the better decision for the people. The people will still be counted, but also it's not going to be a total democracy, because this idea that we just escaped monarch tyrannical rule from King George III frightened the hell out of the founders. So whatever. Unfortunately, something that is well over 200 years old has come into modern day politics, and we're still living with that style of voting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good and bad arguments for and against the Electoral College. It really just depends on how much you know, and where after I guess concrete review of all that, where you would side. I don't know exactly how to answer that question.
Right. Do you have a question? I have no.
Yeah, he kind of just answered it. It was just, how do you feel about how the electoral colleges and shit?
Is it antiquated? Is it old, outdated?
Oh, well, it's outdated, just because of when it was.
What do you think it should be implemented now? Is basically my question.
Listen, I like the idea. First and foremost, we have to admit we're a republic. Okay, we're not a democracy. It's not pure democracy where everyone votes and that's what we go with. This is a republic. There's 50 states. And because, again, as I made note before, I take the Constitution seriously. I was willing to die for it, so it would be silly not to. Mm-hmm. And in it, it describes the Electoral College, or prescribes how we will elect a president. So somewhat I support the idea behind it.
Right.
I don't like the potential results we could get from it. I think that would be extremely catastrophic to the public if we voted for one candidate and got the other outright. I don't know if the country at this day and age is prepared to deal with that reality, even though it could totally happen. But I think the best way is, if you're never going to be able to get everyone to side with abolishing it outright, and you're never going to be able to get everyone to decide that the electoral college is good to go for years and years to come. Let's meet in the middle. Understand this. It's the states that administer the votes. Okay, each state has a rule book as to how they will elect the president, or select or project a state for the electors to elect the president. I believe Colorado did this. Colorado wrote, at least they drafted a bill to allow, well, no, I don't want to get into that. But I guess the compromise where I would side on it is, let's do something where the popular vote still matters, but instead of winner take all, how about we just do it proportionally? So Ohio with 16 electoral votes. If 50% of Ohio votes for Joe Biden and 50% of Ohio votes for Donald Trump, then perhaps maybe, well, I guess you can't really, well, yeah. I guess 8 electoral votes could go towards Trump and 8 electoral votes could go towards Biden. That would be maybe something better to stomach, and at least it meets in the middle. And I think that might make people feel a little bit more better, because Republicans, if you look at California and New York and the New England states, a good chunk of the New England states that are basically untouchable for a Republican to win, they'd be happy about that, and vice versa. For example, Texas. Alaska's not a big win, but it's almost always solidly Republican red. Democrats might see that if we allowed for that kind of voting or that kind of modification to electoral college, they might actually be able to siphon off a few electoral votes from Texas, or Republicans might actually be able to siphon off a few votes from Democrats in California, versus it be winner take all. So if I were in office, I would probably project that sort of modification, at least somewhere a step forward into changing it. But I have no idea. Of course, we're never going to know until we try something.
Right. Well, damn.
Yeah, I mean,
I learned a lot. Fuck. Hey, we need to do this again. For real. When they get
for sure.
in a couple months.
I'm so down.
Yep. We can do this again.
That's cool.
Cool, man. I appreciate you, Jordan.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate you guys. Hunter, Stefan, nice meeting you, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.
Cool, man. I'll see you.
All right, deuces.
Let's get so like,
I know it's like one false move. Okay, sweet. That's what I like to see.
Recorded?
Yep.
Bet.
I'll leave this down just in case it's not type deal. But cool. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit longer than
that was good. I like
wanted,
that.
But I figured it would be good for some people.
I need that every once in a while.
Next time we do it, I'm holding his feet to the fire.
Hold his feet to the fire, yeah. It's kind of hard to do because I didn't.
That's why I said, and that's why I said that I want it closer to like election time. Mm-hmm. I should have just asked.
He initially wanted to come here, but I was like, I don't know. We'll see how this goes first. But he
No, I like that.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, here.
Hopefully.
No, I pointed here, like there. No, here. Hopefully, it was helpful to some people. I don't know a lot about politics at all. Everything I know,
it's through him.
It's through him, but he gives me places to kind of go.
Right.
So it was cool. But yeah, are y'all gonna vote?
After all that, it's like, no! Are we on camera?
Never! Yeah.
Of course not. No. Of course not. Do I believe him? I mean, everything he said was correct. Yeah. It's all factual. Yeah. But it's the same reason why I'm not voting.
Because everything, you just clarified it.
Too much politics.
That's all I wanted to hear. Yeah.
There's too much politics going on. You seen him. He was even being politically correct.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was going to make him endorse a candidate, but I ain't want to do that.
No, I try to do it all the time at work. He won't do it. He says the same thing all the time. I don't know. I didn't expect there only be 2 left right now. But
that's what being a campaign manager.
Right. He's very savvy on his feet. Mm-hmm. But dang, what was I about to say?
Because boy, if he endorsed a candidate early and then it came back to bite him because they turned out to be a shit show, boy, his credibility would be fucked for a while.
All 20,000 followers gone.
All 20,000.
Like, you're the clown that endorsed fucking Biden
after that sex scandal came out.
No, it's like, didn't you know about that?
Yeah. No, it's crazy though because ever since Biden won, do y'all keep seeing people share that KKK picture of him with the Grandmaster? The Grand Wizard of the KKK? I keep seeing it everywhere.
No, but he's fumbling bad. I don't know. I was so pissed last week when I found out he was in the league.
In the NFL?
Like, there's just this guy. Man, you just watched that Joe Rogan podcast yesterday when he was having a stroke. Joe Biden up there trying to say land or equal.
Yeah.
This
He
land
said, is he having a stroke?
Said he has two
Nah, but they were playing a clip.
Joe was saying how crushed he is.
Yeah.
He's like, Biden can't get it done. He's having a stroke.
But yeah,
Well, in other news, the coronavirus has struck the United States. And news reporters, news reporters have swags.
I wouldn't be shocked if I had it.
Stop.
I'm just telling you, I've been sick.
it only
ever
kills
since.
old people.
No, so I heard something today. I was in the sauna. These two old heads that they keep up on this shit. They was talking about it. I don't know what that means.
I was going to do it harder.
Do old men touch you naked in the sauna? Hey, son, did you hear about the...
Don't ever. What do you mean, do old men touch me naked?
You ain't hear about the coronavirus?
They not.
What'd they tell you?
They didn't tell me shit, first off. I was sitting there.
Please.
I heard them two old men talking. I don't talk to them. Fuck out my face. But they was talking about how only 2% of people who got coronavirus out of the thousands or whatever is fatal.
Yeah, it's not.
It's only
not
the only the old people that are dying, for real.
It's only the older.
But the scary thing about the
It's because they
coronavirus
have-
is we don't like.
Yeah, that's what they
we
just
don't
said.
know what it is.
Yeah.
We know what it's killing. We know
Yeah.
people are getting, but we
Well,
don't know what it is.
So
yet.
there's an antidote for it then. Or is it just you?
They came out. The
They're-
CDC
they're-
said it'll be 18 months.
Yeah, they're trying to figure it
max
out.
though.
And Bernie just came out on Twitter yesterday and sent it up on the upper
But
saying it
is
should
it
all
so-
be free.
So is it like a
free.
So if
Bernie's
it's
a
not
nut.
an antidote, is it like a thing that like goes away like a flu? Like you just get sick as fuck and it goes away?
Yeah, I mean,
or it's like
even
a
if
herpes
you-
type deal where like it's
No,
lingers around.
yeah. Even if you caught it, as long as you properly hand wash and do the proper
And if you
They're
aren't 60 years old,
they're quarantining people, but like those people aren't all gonna die. I mean, it's just the people that have the
Then
weaker
Dream Fast
immunity.
better not fucking cancel.
Yeah, but
because
you
I'll deal
can't
with
get
that.
it spreading like that between 60,000 people because then it's so hard to control.
I guess that's a good point.
I mean, then it's ridiculous.
Right. Then that 2% goes up.
That's
a
what I'm
little bit.
saying, and the fact that it's already in Ohio and then like
Yeah, it was Cleveland today.
yeah,
Well, who was it?
3 confirmed cases.
But what was it? What job was it? What title was it? It was like it wasn't an airport. It was
But it's getting closer and closer, and that's not good.
they need to chill out.
It's not good at all.
I watched my hands hella times a day.
It's not
And it
good
said
at all.
there's things you know that you can do. Work out.
Stop.
Get over 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, right. Touch all the machines with people not sanitizing it
No,
down.
with your body. Boost your immune system. Get over
Lay down.
7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no, you need to take all the advice that they're saying, weak body.
Stop.
I already know. That's why I was praying for you the other night. I was like, God, please don't let Hunter get coronavirus.
Stop. Hey, I
do y'all
was so
think?
pissed.
Do y'all think North Korea gave it to us?
I don't know, but Kim Jong Un's a G.
You mean as in
Y'all remember when they tweeted?
diabolically?
He's offing people.
Y'all remember what they tweeted before Christmas?
No.
Nah,
Remember they tagged USA and said we got a special gift for y'all,
Yeah.
Did they?
and then that's when coronavirus popped up.
But China has like 80,000 cases.
No, that shit came from bats.
No, that's what happens when the
But did you see the thing he said?
that's what
They
happened.
tried to tell us that it came from bats. Batman.
Oh yeah, that was.
But it's from the D.
Oh, that was
With Dr. Umar Johnson.
Umar,
We said, I'm just trying to
I mean,
warn her,
but
brother.
if you said
It's
China
too
has
much.
how many cases of it? Is that where
It's like 80,000.
right?
China
They
has
got
more than
they got the
any
most, right?
But I mean, they also have like 80 million people.
But I
80
mean,
billion
but
people.
think about it. If the government was doing
Well,
that-
no, Italy. Sauna story, same dude. In Italy, there was
Stories
like
from the sauna.
there was like an Italy prison. 8 people broke out because they were so frantic and shit, and they was meth addicts. They hit the infirmary and they just committed suicide with a whole bunch of overdose on meth because they thought it was like raps.
Well, because they had coronavirus.
No, they're just senile and crazy.
Oh, they thought the world
that
was in there?
they just didn't want to get, like, they thought that they might have had it in the prison, not them, but I think it was like in the prison and people were getting it, so they was like, before it takes us, we'll just have a
kill
good last
ourselves.
ride with the
Right.
meth.
What?
No, that was
Like,
an
if
excuse
I'm
to
going
be
out, I'm
left
going
handed.
out
All
with
like
a bang,
I
with
think it
needle
might
in
have
my
been 6. I
arm.
think it was 6. All 6 of them.
Right, but what my point was, if North Korea did that, well, never mind.
I just want it to go away.
I was gonna
I
say,
don't got
like,
time
what
for
if-
this shit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I just want to go to Dreamville Fest.
That's all. I've been waiting
I'm
for
good.
months. Fuck.
They
And-
canceling everything.
And then they clearly killed those people in that hotel, right?
Oh, bro, I saw that.
I didn't watch.
China, the
Like the 11,000 people or whatever they quarantined in.
the hotel collapsed,
Yeah, they quarantined all these people in
Into
a hotel
one
and-
building.
and it collapsed.
and the hotel collapsed.
What do you mean collapse?
And they're trapped.
like you tripped it? Like what? It's a
the
building.
all of a
It's
sudden collapsed. Ain't
It's
collapsed
like-
in 100 years.
right.
At least just be a G like Kim Jong Un and just say, "I'm killing you."
Right.
If you have coronavirus, you're a goner.
Yeah, that's some nut ass shit.
But yep, we live in a crazy. What Jesus say?
Triple double.
Jeezy.
In this crazy world.
No, Futures got the goat meme. Futures is what the fuck is? And I'm gonna butcher it.
Hey, I know we get ready to die, but
No,
I'm just
what's Futures? It's a crazy world we live in.
I know.
Stop. Khalil, tell him. Khalil knows. Khalil and JD always be tweeting it.
Well, a lot of music dropped. I know I didn't expect to talk to Jordan for like 50 minutes, but I mean, it was insightful.
Yeah, that was good.
But I mean, we had a lot of music
Politic
drop.
Podcast.
The Politic Podcast. Know It All's Politics Podcast.
Fact.